Finance Minister says government had the required authority to repurchase shares from WRB. We'll have details to this story and more in the National Report. With the details to the news for Monday, January 18th, 2021, I am Rikisha St. Louis. Government's transaction involving the repurchase of Grenlex shares in a settlement agreement with WRB was legitimate. Through the US $63 million settlement, which is US $12 million less than the arbitration award, government recently regained control of the 50% shares sold to WRB in 1994. Government also acquired the 11.6% shares which WRB purchased through an affiliate company and which was used to plow profits back into the hands of the company and its affiliates rather than into critical, ongoing capital investment to maintain and improve Grenlex generating capacity. During a meeting of the lower house on Friday, Minister for Finance, Honorable Gregory Bowen, explained that the authority is vested in the Public Finance Management Act, which enables the government to conduct such transactions. He said under the Act, the Finance Minister or the Attorney General can make payments to settle outstanding claims. According to Minister Bowen, the recent transaction with WRB was in keeping with the provisions of the law.
The payment was legitimate. There were those who came to say that you should come here, hold a public, hold a committee, standing orders committee, etc., etc. Well, we did that already because the authority was there, Mr. Speaker, for us to so do. The authority was there because this was already passed in the House of Representatives, in the Parliament for that matter, Mr. Speaker. Section 42(1)(a) and (b) of the Public Finance Management Act 2015 provides that where money is required to be paid to the government by an order of the court or by an arbitration award, the Minister may, on the advice of the Attorney General, the Accountant General, and the Director of Audit, settle the claim and may, in writing, direct the Accountant General to pay the amount in settlement of the claim out of the consolidated fund.
He said finances that were allocated for projects and programs in 2020 that had to be placed on hold due to COVID-19 presented an opportunity for government to move capital expenditure around to make money available for the Grenlex repurchase. The Finance Minister explained that because of the provisions under the Public Finance Management Act, government did not have to return to Parliament to move the capital expenditure.
We voted a sum of money, and because the section in the Act gives us room to move capital to capital, yes, and we can move recurrent to capital once the vote is there. You don't have to come back to Parliament, you move recurrent expenditure to capital. In other words, when we formulated this, the IMF and the World Bank, they envisage, and we say it is right. That is why we are here today making so much progress. Before, you could have taken from capital and put there. So you take all the money that will build your growth and you put it on in recurrent and you see you go to nothing. You cannot do that now. If you don't want to do that, you have to come back to Parliament. Now you can go the other way. The minister can go there. The warrants, whether it was called special warrants before, it's no longer called special warrant. But you can move once Parliament has approved a vote, you can move it.
Agriculture Minister Honorable Peter David says government must address the cost of energy to realize the true potential of the agro industry. He said one of the major barriers to development within the agriculture sector is the cost of electricity. During Friday's sitting of the House of Representatives, Minister David emphasized the urgency for government intervention to make renewable energy more accessible and the overall cost of electricity more affordable.
One of the major impediments to agro-industrial development in this country is electricity cost. Mr. Speaker, unless we get a handle on energy costs, we will go nowhere with agro-industrial production. We have to ensure through these actions, Minister of Finance, that we are able to keep prices in such a way that agro-industrial development can be enhanced. Energy cost is a major impediment to that. In addition to that, food prices. Energy, again, plays an important part in food prices, be it the use of pumps on the farms, the use of electricity at the abattoir. Throughout the agricultural sector, energy plays an important role. Therefore, as Minister of Agriculture, I want to welcome the attempts by government to ensure that we can manage energy prices.
He explained by repurchasing the WRB shares, government is simply protecting the developmental objectives of the country.
This government, in acting the way it's acting, I do not want to go back into all that was said earlier, is acting in a way to protect the developmental objectives of the country. Water, electricity, healthcare, education must be provided. And in doing all of that, energy runs through all of that. And that is why the state had to intervene. Grand Lake, Mr. Speaker, is such a case.
This is the National Report. The news will continue after the break.
Protect yourself and our community from COVID-19. Wash your hands frequently with soap and water for at least 20 seconds. If soap and water are not available, use an alcohol-based hand sanitizer with at least 70% alcohol. Use a tissue when blowing your nose, sneezing, or coughing. Immediately discard the tissue properly and wash or sanitize your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Let's do our part to ensure that each and every Grenadian remains healthy. To stay up to date, visit the Government of Grenada's webpage or the Ministry of Health's Facebook page. For more information, contact the Ministry of Health's hotline by calling 53-VIRUS. This has been a public service announcement brought to you by the Ministry of Health.
Welcome back. The Ministry of Tourism and Civil Aviation and the Grenada Tourism Authority, GTA, have jointly launched a hotline to facilitate travel-related inquiries from visitors, tour operators, travel agents, and returning nationals. Ria Murray, Communications Officer of the Grenada Tourism Authority, spoke to GIS via telephone. She explained the aim of this recent development.
We know that the situation is fluid as it pertains to what's happening in the world and COVID-19, and things changing rapidly. But the whole intent of this travel hotline is to assist travel agents, tour operators, visitors or returning nationals who have general inquiries about our entry protocols, or they need guidance on where to stay or where to go during a visit to Grenada, Carriacou, or Petite Martinique. So it's just making this information more readily available, and we know that the human touch, actually speaking to someone on the telephone, can really assist in ironing out any doubts that someone may have.
The hotline can be accessed via 3 numbers. Toll-free USA number 1-888-251-1732. Worldwide 1-213-283-0754. And for callers on island 440-0670. The communications officer noted that there has been a shift in the operating time for the on-island hotline number.
With this new hotline launched, the time has moved from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. So we have wider coverage there. And after 10 p.m., people also have the option to leave a message. So it's greater coverage in terms of the hours. And as I said, it's just making all the information readily available if you're a travel agent, tour operator, visitor, or returning national.
Finally, in the news, the proposed idea of an ecotourism project by one farmer on the western side of the island has shown some promise, and after consultation with the Ministry of Agriculture, a technician recently did a walkthrough offering his recommendations. We get more in this report.
Farmer Philip David, owner of Bocage Farms and Trades, believes that his idea of ecotourism and a botanical garden effect can put a new perspective on farming. David and his team have occupied the 5-acre plot at Bocage Estate for the last 2.5 years.
But also to have a productive botanical garden where we'll be producing for markets, marketing board, local consumption, internal consumption, and for visitors coming here too.
David believes that his idea cannot become a reality without the expert advice of technicians from the Ministry of Agriculture. Last Thursday, an 8-member team did a walkthrough of the farm at Bonaire in St. Mark to seek out the practicality of the idea. Chief Extension Officer Randolph Shez was a member of the team.
I had put together a small team and we had a meeting with him, a face-to-face meeting, and he presented his plans to us. And his plans looks good, but what we are doing here today, we are walking the flow, call it that way, where we are visiting his farm, and as we go along, he's telling us his plans, and then we are making our recommendations as we go along.
According to David, the plan is to have a totally organic farm with a variety of fruits.
We are also in the process of developing new strains of existing plants. For instance, we have dragon fruits, we have sorrel, we have about 4 or 5 different types of mangoes, we have 4 different types of oranges, we have 3 different types of grapefruits, things like that. We also have grapes here, red and the green grapes. We have also Bajan cherries, etc., etc., etc. So we want our visitors to come here, sample the fruits, sample the products in the land, and then also sample the cooked version of these fruits, because we'll be cooking on site also, so they can actually literally choose their meals, choose their salads, things like that, pick it off the trees and bring it in and produce it from there, and they actually, so they're eating farm to table basically.
Acting Chief Land Use Officer Trevor Thompson offered his observations and recommendations going forward.
The area was abandoned for a number of years, so the present crops that are cultivated, most of them are in very poor condition, especially the cocoa. Very poor drainage, so we have a lot of waterlogging. So that definitely needs to be rehabilitated. Now he has to begin to really look at what we call an agricultural farm plan to see how he wants to recultivate the land so that it is done in a systematic manner, that it's not just planting because you have the land, but if you want to cultivate cocoa, we must select an area for that. If he wants to do fruits, there should be an area for that, as well as bananas, etc. Of course, we will have some intercropping. But I think he has a good vision for the 5 acres, and I think in 5 years' time, you come back here, it will be transformed.
David is one of many farmers who receive technical advice and support from the Ministry of Agriculture.
That story just ended the national report for today, Monday, January 18th. On behalf of the entire news and production team, I am Rakisha St. Louis saying thank you for joining us. Until next time.